The third Saturday in October is now in the rear view mirror, and I have to tell you, we are neutral here on Midwest Sports Net, so we're not cheering for one team over another. We just enjoy talking about small college sports and more. So if I want to get to cheer for a team, I'm going to look toward Division One, and the third Saturday in October has for decades now meant Alabama and Tennessee. I've been a Tennessee Volunteers fan since the mid 80s, and I didn't have a cigar to smoke. I don't know that I would have anyway, but I will tell you that here in the Midwest Sportsnet household, we celebrated late afternoon, early evening, enjoying the Volunteers win over Alabama. But if you're an Alabama fan, please just keep it right here anyway. We're going to talk NAIA football for the rest of the night. Hi, I'm Joey McWilliams. Glad that you are watching here on the channel, and I encourage you, please subscribe if you haven't already. And also, by the way, if you're watching us on the live stream, let us know from where you are watching and maybe who your favorite NAIA team is. We have a lot to talk about tonight. It's top five performances. We will get to them in just a moment, but we want to wait and save them until after going beyond the five because there were many incredible performances over the weekend, teams, individuals. It was just a fantastic weekend for college football in the NAIA. So let's get started right now. The number one team in the country, I still believe, is the number one team in the country, and it was a tight contest. Number one Kaiser coming in at 4-0 on the road in Lakeland, Florida at Victory Field, at Southeastern also 4-0. A defensive battle between the two, but I have to say this is a contest in which the offenses were not necessarily kept off the field. However, they were held in check. It was a bend, don't break defensive day for both these teams. 10-10 the score at the half, only one more touchdown, one more score that was put on the board that came in the second half. 12:39 remaining, and Andrew Burnett, who carried the bulk of the load because Meisinger was out for this contest for the Seahawks, a 2-yard game-winning touchdown run to cap a drive. 17-10, Kaiser comes away with the victory, and I think they retain the number one ranking. Good evening, Dales. Good to see you tonight. I do know the answer from where you are watching. Roll Stangs. I think we're going to mention the Stangs here a little bit later on. Stick around and find out, just to make sure. Don't go away too early. All right, number 2, Grandview, 42, Central Methodist, 7. This was a Thursday night game. The Vikings were on top, 35-0 at the half. Each team scored a touchdown in the second half. That's really where that one stands. Number 3, Indiana Wesleyan, 56, Taylor 7. Now, I did get a comment on this one because I said that it would not be a 4-touchdown game, and it wasn't. As a matter of fact, I thought it would be a single-digit game between the two. Really did. I felt like that Taylor could be able to shorten the game a little bit with that ground attack and take care of business. Well, I was right. It wasn't a 4-touchdown game. It was a 7-touchdown game, and that was pointed out to me. So even though I am going to talk about a couple of picks we made this past week that were right, I will say I was right with the pick. Had the Wildcats in this one. Wildcats continuing to roll, but it wasn't as close. And this Indiana Wesleyan team at number 3, other situations, you look at this, number 1, Kaiser, number 2, Grandview. Indiana Wesleyan may slip into that number 2 spot. It could happen. The number 2 in the rankings, not ratings in the NAI. We'll see how that goes with the national coaches poll. Indiana Wesleyan, I think this is the number 2. Had time of possession, had the ball 31 minutes and 18 seconds. I really, really felt like that Taylor would have the majority on the time of possession, running the ball like they have all season long, just not their day. And check out the total offense. Indiana Wesleyan, 517 total yards. Taylor just 147. Kyle Antoine, 22 for 33 passing, 192 on the day, 3 passing touchdowns, no picks. Ryan Whitwell, who is third in the NAIA in rushing yards per game, 17 carries, had 145 and a rushing touchdown. He's averaging 120.1 rushing yards per game. And Isaac Smith, also in that top 5, receiving-wise, 7 catches, just 28 yards, but had 2 of them in for scores. 10 catches for TDs this season. He's second in the NAIA in that category. Dordt is number 4 in the country, and they rolled over Dakota Wesleyan 42-7 did the defenders. Colson Cruz 8 for 16 for just 138 yards passing, had 2 passing touchdowns, also ran for a score. Number 5, St. Thomas 40 at Ave Maria 24. Felt like this would be a close game. A little bit more of a spread than what I had thought, but Ave Maria did stick around for a while in this one. Rontavious Farmer, though, 39 carries, 232 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, he was answered by Brian Steinke on the other side, 21 carries, had 143 rushing yards as well, 5 catches for 76 yards, and a receiving touchdown. But check this number here for Rontavious Farmer, 39 carries. There were only 74 offensive plays run by the Bobcats in this game. 52.7% of the plays were specifically Rontavious Farmer running plays. They took care of business, took care of the ball, and took care of another win. St. Thomas 40, Ave Maria 24. Benedictine, the number 8 team in the country, 48. At home with the victory over Missouri Baptist. Jackson Dooley 23 for 36 passing for 308 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, gave up 1 pick. And how about this for consistency for Jackson Dooley? He is number 3 in the country in passing yards per game, and he's been throwing the ball at a clip of 308.7 yards per game. In Saturday's contest, he threw 308 passing yards. So that's just consistency for Jackson Dooley. Benedictine continues to move along. Number 9, Northwestern 45 at Waldorf 7. Connor McQuillan 10 carries, 59 yards rushing, 2 rushing touchdowns, but also had 7 catches for 101 yards receiving too. Not a bad day as Northwestern with a steady dose of Connor McQuillan in this one. And number 10, Southern Oregon 48. On the road at Arizona Christian, the Firestorm put just 7 on the board, another loss for ACU. Southern Oregon's Gunnar Yates with 17 carries for 124 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, 20 rushing touchdowns on the season now for Yates. That's good enough for second in the NAIA. Who's ahead of him? We'll find out a little bit later on. Cumberland's 26, Faulkner 21. Drew Gregg led the fourth quarter rally. And Cumberland's had to come back in this one, keeping Faulkner at 0-2 and with no wins in the Mid-South Conference, which, by the way, is just a mess right now. It was last week. It is again this week. A 17-yard touchdown pass to Curtis LaFleur in the fourth quarter. Cumberland's defense forced a punt, nearly lost it on a fumble, got it back. Greg then connected with a 43-yard pass and capped the drive with an 11-yard game-winning touchdown run. Cumberland's 26, just 1 loss in conference play. Faulkner 21. Concordia of Ann Arbor 67. Madonna 6. That's right. When it's 11-on-1 like that. Oh, no. Madonna the Crusaders. I'm sorry. I didn't want to talk about the elderly musician there. Final homecoming in Ann Arbor, by the way, and it goes to the Cardinals. Marion 45. Olivet Nazarene 40. Big afternoon for the Knights, and they hold off the Tigers in this one. Tristan Polk, 18 for 30 passing, 347 passing yards, 1 passing touchdowns, didn't throw a pick, 10 for 32 rushing as well, and 2 rushing touchdowns, so he's responsible for 3. How about Keegan LaBelle, 28 carries, 125 yards. He also has a pair of scores on the ground. And then Jake Reichert, 10 catches, 249 yards receiving. And what a number that is. 249 yards of the 347 yards that Polk threw. 1 receiving touchdown, his 126.7 yards per game. That's good enough for 4th in the NAI. Reichard rolls, as do the Knights, 45-40 over Olivet Nazarene. Siena Heights, 34, Lawrence Tech, 14. Brendan Hasenleader, 46 carries. Yes, 46 carries. 260 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Siena Heights had the ball 64% of the game, 38 minutes and 23 seconds. And that's a lot, but there's a game in which one team had it more a little bit later on. Culver Stockton 35, St. Ambrose 21. The Wildcats pick up the first win of the season, rallied from down 21-14 at the half and scored at 21 unanswered. Drake Day, 15 for 26 passing, 244 through the air, 4 passing touchdowns, threw no picks. Kyle Dixon had 7 of those catches for 135 yards and half of the receiving touchdowns. He had 2. Concordia, 5-2 on the year, 45-10 over Doane. DJ McGarvey, 25 for 45 passing for 385 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns through a pair of interceptions as well. Mark Arp with 25 carries, 161 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Pair of receivers having a great afternoon. Austin Jablonski, 13 catches, 213 receiving yards, 1 touchdown catch. Adam Van Cleve, 8 catches, 112 receiving yards, had a pair of touchdown receptions as well. Graceland, 49. Clark, 27. The Yellow Jackets continuing to do their thing. 17 for 32, 328 passing yards for Cade Ross. Had 5 passing touchdowns, but distributed the ball a little bit too well as he had 3 interceptions on the day as well. Jamon McGlory, 17 carries for 147 yards rushing, had a rushing touchdown. And of course, if we're going to mention Cade Ross, we have to talk about Gerald Monroe. 8 catches, 164 yards receiving, 20.5 yards per catch with those 8 catches, 3 receiving touchdowns. Monroe, 157.1 yards receiving per game. That is tops in the NAIA. His 17 receiving touchdowns also tops in the NAIA. Yellow Jackets doing Yellow Jacket things, and there's a big game on the horizon a little bit later on. Not previewing games right now, just talking, vaguely about a few. St. Francis of Indiana, 49, Judson 20. Joshua Kulka had a big week last week. Another strong week, 80% passing, 16 for 20 for 260 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns through 1 interception. Every game for Kulka since the season opening loss to Indiana Wesleyan, Kulka has had a completion rate of at least 64%. Joshua Kulka for St. Francis of Indiana. Continue to watch that name. He's doing well. McPherson, 35, Bethel, 10. Tristan Zabo, 17 for 27 passing, 194 passing yards, threw 3 touchdowns, had no picks, also had 8 carries for 32 yards and a rushing touchdown. And the Bulldogs take care of the Threshers by 25 on Saturday. We did pick Ottawa, and Ottawa comes through 33-30, first win of the season for the Braves. Ottawa, Jordan Clay led the way, 28 carries, 155 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. We talked about time of possession. Here's one for you. 39 minutes, 13 seconds. 65.36% of the game, the Braves were in control, and that's how you pick up your first win of the season. 33-30, Ottawa with the win. 48-2, Langston over North American. Torrance Bardell, 18 for 28 passing, 316 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, didn't throw an interception. Through to Ivory Wilwright and Kevin Allen, each with 6 receptions. Wilwright for 128 yards and 2 touchdown catches. Allen for 111 yards and 1 touchdown catch. Baker, 67. William Woods, 28. Truman Julesgaard came back in this one. Didn't need to see a lot of time actually in this one. 11 for 15 passing, 120 passing yards. Did not throw a touchdown pass. Wow. But he picked up 3 on the ground. 7 carries, 89 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. Julesgaard back for the Wildcats in this one. Evangel, 68. Bethany, 17. The Swedes, and I will say this again, I believe the Swedes are going to trip somebody up in the Kessinger division. Don't know who it's going to be, and the Valor said it's not going to be us. 68-17. Evangel remains undefeated at 6-0. Big matchup this coming Saturday, which we'll talk about later on. Bradley Myers with 9 tackles in this one. Georgetown, the only team in the Mid-South Conference undefeated in league play, 5 teams with 1 loss, and then Faulkner. Darius Neal, 20 carries, 126 rushing yards, had both rushing touchdowns in this game, including the game winner in the second half. And Georgetown continues again to control its destiny and possible playoff spots in the Mid-South Conference. Texas College, this one's a big one. 5-2. We certainly didn't get this one right. We thought Louisiana Christian had enough to maybe turn things around, but the Steers have gone to 5-2 on the season now. A 40-34 victory in overtime Won the game, however, and this is an amazing number. You want to talk about some statistics here. How often does a team win with negative 26 rushing yards? That's usually a stat that you look at on the losing side to say, hey, I don't know about this one. Negative 26 rushing yards, but Amani Gilmore completed 25 of 53 on the day for 404 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, threw 2 interceptions as well. Carried the ball 5 times, lost 29 on the day on the turf, but had 1 rushing touchdown as well. Louisiana Christian got the ball first in overtime and threw an interception. Texas College incompletion to Delonte Hill for a 6-yard touchdown. The game winner in overtime, 40-34, and the Steers are rolling from Tyler, Texas. Mid-American Nazarene, 34, Missouri Valley, 7. Adrian Parson, a pedestrian day by his standards, 13 for 24 passing, 136 yards, but he threw 4 touchdowns on the day, no picks. His 25 passing touchdowns, that's good enough for second in the NAIA in that category. Sean Cherry had 16 carries for 144 rushing yards, 9 yards per rush on the ground on the day for Cherry. Another win for Mid-American Nazarene as the Pioneers stay undefeated. Dickinson State, 49, Mayville State 14, and the Blue Hawks continue to roll in the North Star in the league's swan song season. Braden Zuroff, 16 carries, 100 rushing yards even, 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. Dickinson State wins. No surprise there. Carroll, 24, Eastern Oregon, 19. Carroll, undefeated in Frontier Conference play. And there were 641 passing yards combined on the day between Eastern Oregon and Carroll. Excuse me. This is a little bit of a pattern on the day for these Frontier Conference teams. Usually when we think about the Frontier Conference teams, we think not only of the run game, but these are quarterbacks who can run the ball, dual threat quarterbacks as well. Sure did throw the ball well this Saturday. Eastern Oregon's Quincy Glasper, 31 for 54 through the air, 302 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. Jack Perka for Carroll, 21 of 28, 75% completion rate on the day, 339 passing yards, and threw for 2 touchdown passes as well. College of Idaho, 28, MSU Northern, 7. Andy Peters, another great day for the Frontier Conference quarterback, throwing the ball, 23 for 37, 349 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, didn't throw any interceptions. Back from the west to the central part of the country, well, yeah, we're moving back to the central. Here we go. OUAZ, Ottawa, the Spirit, 85, Arkansas Baptist 12, similar score from last year. Luke Giron, 11 of 13 on the day. Incredibly strong passing completion rating there, 150 yards, threw 5 passing touchdowns and just 11 completions. Also threw an interception as well. Jadon Lester, 5 carries, 116 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. By the way, that's 23.2 yards per rush. Fantastic day for Lester. Bluefield had to come back to remain undefeated in the Appalachian, 20-19. And Kentucky Christian just not seeming to be able to find a break. The Knights led 19-10 with about 10 minutes left in this one. Then Bluefield picked up a field goal and picked off a pass, which turned into a pick 6 and move away for the win. The Rams 20, the Knights 19. However, KCU, Darrell Simmons, 8 catches, 104 yards receiving, 2 receiving touchdowns. Bluefield, again, with no little notches in that loss column in the Appalachian just yet. Thomas picks up its first win of the season. We were wrong on this one. We thought Warner would be able to get things back from last year. Thomas has 2 victories in program history. Both of them have come against the Royals. Elijah Alston, 15 carries, 89 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 2, including what proved to be the game winner. Thomas 27, Warner 21. Montana Tech 97. Really the only number I need to throw out there. Simpson declined to put a number on the board other than the goose egg. 97-0. Lots of players with lots of stats. Blake Thielen, 7 for 9 passing, 174 yards. He threw 5 touchdown passes. Now, there's a percentage right there. Check that one out. Just more than 70% pass, or 70% of his completed passes were for touchdown. 7 for 9 passing, 5 passing touchdowns, no picks. Montana Tech just shy of triple digits in this one, 97-0 over Simpson. And finally, as we go beyond the 5 a little bit more, Texas Wesleyan 76, Nelson 19, another blowout. Ernest Caesar 15 carries, 78 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. Yes, 21 rushing touchdowns on the season now. He passed Gunnar Yates with the effort this weekend. He is now at the top of that statistic in the NAIA. I want to say thanks to everybody for watching tonight. We are not done just yet, but we're about to get to the top 5. So if you didn't hear your team or your player's name get called, we're about to probably talk about one of those. Top 5 performances, and that means sometimes more than one player on a team. We try to get those out there. Do want to say thank you again to everybody for watching. And if you have not already, and here I'm going to pitch this one tonight really quickly before we get into the top 5. We'll drop that graphic on there. If you've not already subscribed, please do subscribe. It is free, and it's also one of those things that I've said before, I'll say it again. I'm not sure what it does from the perspective of the algorithm, what some people call the almighty algorithm. I'm not saying I'm going to go there with that, but I think it does help. It does help, at least on our end. So we're closing in on another mark, and we sure would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. Also, you have an opportunity to become a member of the channel now, and that one's not free, but it's a lot of fun, and we want to make sure that you are recognized at the end of all of our videos. We do have a couple of videos on tap for tomorrow, but last week I said, hey, we're going to do this and this and this, and we're going to have these videos out there and blah, blah, blah. It's been a long summer for me, and I wound up with the recommendation of doctors who've taken very good care of me from OU Medical that said, hey, listen, we really would like you to go to the ER and get checked up for something. Okay, I wasn't feeling good. Didn't want to go to the ER again, but I did. And because of that, I didn't get to do the 2 videos that I promised we would have. You know, I said it. That's as good as a promise, right? So we didn't have those on there. And I did talk to one of the coaches last week. We're scheduled to talk to the other one here this week. So I'm hesitant to say, hey, we're going to have these videos on tomorrow. But those are the plans, that we're going to have those videos on tomorrow. And you know what? If you're a member of the channel, then we recognize you at the end of the video and appreciate you being a member and joining the channel. So that's just something to throw out there as well. All right. I think, did I get it all in there? It seemed like there was something else. That's all right. Let's get to the top 5, and 2 computers, making sure I'm using the right one here now. There it is. All right, top 5 performances. How about that? You want to soak that one in really quickly, and we'll talk about each one of them right here. Montana Western's the number 6 team in the country on the road at Rocky Mountain. And Jake Humphrey, 20 carries, 215 yards rushing. That's 10.8 yards per rush, 5 rushing touchdowns on the day. Now, I know that Ernest Caesar had a pretty good day as well. We felt like this one may have meant just a little bit more, so we're going to go with Humphrey in this one. The Bulldogs, our pick here on Midwest Sportsnet to take the Frontier Conference this season. They're still in a position to do it, and we've talked about the air attack and what they can do throwing the ball, what it's meant to them with Palandry and with Norse. Jake Humphrey showing there's a ground game as well in Dillon. 10.8 yards per rush, 5 rushing touchdowns. St. Francis of Illinois, 36. St. Xavier, 29. And I know I missed a couple last week, and I get that, okay? There were a couple, we talked about missing the spread on Indiana Wesleyan, and I think there were a couple more. Well, we're not perfect. If we were perfect, we would take this show not take the show, but I would take the betting lines maybe to Division I, see what we could do. We're not perfect, but we want to celebrate some of the other ones. And so this is from last week. Really enjoyed this one because I thought this was a pick that might make a little bit of noise, especially if I missed it. We went out on a limb just a bit for this one. The 27th meeting between the two. St. Xavier, 25-1 all time in 26 previous meetings. The last time St. Francis won, the only time St. Francis of Illinois won, was back in 2008. St. Francis defeated Siena Heights last week. St. Xavier defeated Defiance. And again, St. Xavier, 25-1 all time in this series. We believe they'll be 25-2 after Saturday. So hopefully that makes Ashton happy there. We're taking St. Francis on the road. The Tumulty crew comes in to St. Xavier and takes down a ranked team for the upset on Saturday. That is our pick. Just the second win in series history, and they get it. And we're excited for Coach Curry and for the Fighting Tumulties, actually. Okay, they're the Fighting Saints. St. Francis was down 22-0 early on in this one, 29-7 late in the first half, and then scored 29 consecutive points, and that includes overtime. By the way, for St. Xavier, Stuart Ross, a career-high 365 yards passing on the day, 22 for 29 passing, had a pair of touchdowns thrown, had one interception as well. Also for St. Xavier, Ronnie Foster, 9 receptions for 145 yards through the air, had a couple of touchdown catches. But it was Sam Tumulty, 21 for 30 passing, good enough for 70% completion rating, 242 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, through an interception too. He had 14 carries for 59 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Sam Tumulty just rolling for St. Francis. By the way, Scott Tumulty also had the game winner in overtime, a 3-yard touchdown run. Joey Tumulty had a great day as well. The St. Francis defense held on in overtime. It was capped at the end. St. Francis scored first, and St. Xavier with an opportunity to come back. Nick Mabutis, I believe I got that right, with an interception on 4th down. I think it was a little bit more of a desperation heave, but he picks that one off, and they stop the St. Xavier drive. So now 2-25 all time in series history, and what can be a rivalry, what is a rivalry. And this looks a little bit better for the Knights, who, by the way, now are continuing to look good, putting themselves in good position. Just 1 loss on the season and none in conference play to be in the hunt for the playoffs. So we may be talking about St. Francis a little bit more later on. And we, of course, this week, I will tease this just a little bit. Won't say what day, but we are going to be talking about St. Francis a little bit later on this week as well. How about Pikeville? As Lee Kirkland has made himself at home in the top 5, 3 consecutive weeks. Lee Kirkland, Pikeville 62, Union Commonwealth 35, Kirkland 31 for 47 passing, little better than 68% through the air, 322 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, did throw a pick as well, made up for it, 7 carries for 37 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. The Bears in control of their own destiny in the Appalachian, continuing to roll along. They're going to meet up with Bluefield sometime very soon, each one of them with no losses in conference play. By the way, Jalen Royal Island with 8 catches from Kirkland, had 109 yards receiving and a touchdown. And I don't want to forget the performance from Union Commonwealth quarterback Bryson Grabowski. He was 11 for 31 passing. That's right at about 35% through the air, just 193 yards, but had 5 passing touchdowns on the day. Did not throw an interception, carried the ball 13 times for 49 yards as well. All right, let's move on along here. Just a couple left to go. Number 7, Morningside, 63. Briar Cliff, 6. The battle for Sioux City goes to the Mustangs once again. Zach Chevalier, 21 for 25 passing, 84% on the day, 328 passing yards. He had 6 passing touchdowns. No interceptions. His 27 passing yards or passing touchdowns is good enough for tops in the NAIA. No surprise there that Morningside has a quarterback that is at or near the top of the NAIA standings in passing touchdowns. Roll Stangs indeed. Keelan Jacobson, 8 catches, 129 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. Drew Sellen, 5 catches, 108 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Sellen, by the way, 145 yards, per game receiving. That's good enough for second in the NAIA. His 9 receiving touchdowns, good enough for third in the NAIA. So for Dale's squad, Roll Stangs and Morningside continuing to look good, undefeated in conference play. We'll be taking on the Defenders sometime very soon. And finally, if you haven't seen the play from this game, do yourself a favor. You can go to Twitter. By the way, you can find the entire game at the KCAC website, which does a fantastic job of getting out the video to everyone. And I enjoyed watching it. And I will tell you, I enjoyed watching it free of charge as well. 6-0 Friends on the road, traveling just down the road to Winfield, Kansas, to take on 6-0 Southwestern. Friends, number 23 in the country. Southwestern, number 21 in the country. One of them is going to get a bump from this game, and the other one is likely going to not get very much love from the NCAA pollsters who put together, NAIA pollsters who put together the weekly NAIA ranking, not rating. Friends was up 17-3 late in the first half. 46-yard touchdown pass. Friends? That's what it says, 46-yard touchdown pass. I'm just kidding. Jet Cheatham to Caden Lee. Southwestern ties things up at 24 in the third quarter on a Braden Howell touchdown pass, his third of the afternoon. By the way, Howell, 20 for 28 passing, 306 yards, 3 touchdown passes on the day, no picks. Also had 11 carries for 21 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Howell responsible for 4 touchdowns on the day. But Elias Pino, 13 carries, leading the way for Friends, 118 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. The teams trade touchdowns one more time. It's 31 all in the fourth quarter. I'd like to be able to bring it to you. We can't, at least not. I hadn't figured out with this software, but I'm pretty sure somebody can one of these days. Check it out. Friends Twitter feed. You can also see it at the Midwest Sportsnet Twitter feed because we've reposted that. Southwestern moves down the field, setting up for a fairly short field goal attempt. And you think that Howell has done his job, which he had, by the way, taking care of the team, getting them all the way down the field. Just a few seconds left in this one. And then the unthinkable in Winfield. But for Falcons fans, the Cardiac Kids are alive and well, and another game that came down to a walk-off. One, a walk-off field goal in Wichita, and this one is going to be a walk-off field goal block. Waitu Kalamo with the blocked field goal attempt, short range, and Kamari Geddes with the return. For Kalamo, biggest block of his career. For Geddes, biggest return of his career. Thank you, Alyssa. Block kick of the touchdown made the ESPN. I did see that last night, but I watched it again and again, and I watched it the afternoon, keeping up with that game, and it was just incredible. An incredible effort for Southwestern, an incredible effort for Friends. One of those games that you hate that either team loses, but for Friends, they walk off with the blocked field goal and the return. And what a bounce right in the arms of Geddes, who sprinted down the field, and it was just amazing. It was a stunned crowd in Winfield for this one. So, Elisa, yeah, it was on there last night. I would encourage you, if you've not seen this yet, check out the Midwest Sportsnet Twitter site. You can find it there on one of our retweets. I'm still going to say Twitter. I'm sorry. X is just, I'm not quite there. And although no problems with Elon Musk, I'm just not used to saying X, even after all this time. So check that one out. Waitu Kalamo, Kamari Geddes. Our top 5 performers there for Friends. The walk-off blocked field goal return all the way back for the score. Friends remains undefeated now at 7-0. And Friends, well, you think, well, hey, listen, that was the big win. Maybe you can relax a little bit. You took care of business against a rival there, proximity-wise, and both teams undefeated coming in. So you get a chance to relax. Not even close as they take on Evangel this coming week. We will talk about more as the week goes on. Want to, Dale, the offense, by the way, let's go back to Morningside for here just a second. The offense has been humming, but completion level goes up exponentially, competition. I can read, Dale. I promise. Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet's going to mock me for this one, just to let you know. Competition level goes up exponentially the next 2 weeks. It does. It really does. And that's going to be fun to watch. We'll talk more about Morningside this Thursday as well. We're going to be talking about all these teams: Pikeville, Morningside, Friends, St. Francis, Montana Western. We're going to talk about every one of these on Thursday night. So you need to tune into that. That is our live preview show previewing what will be week 9 in the NAIA, and you don't want to miss that. It is generally at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Sometimes we kind of creep in and see if we can get it at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Be sure to be ready for that. So that is the top 5 performances for week 8. Jake Humphrey from Montana Western, Sam Tumulty and crew from St. Francis, Lee Kirkland, once again, 3rd consecutive week to make it on that board that we talk about here at the very end. Zach Chevalier, Keelan Jacobson, Drew Sellen, and crew from Morningside, and then way to Calamo and Kamari Geddes for Friends. Big time win, and they're big time Falcons. Coach Harrison, did I say that one right? Okay, big time Friends, big time Falcons. There we go. No relaxing for the Falcons, according to Elisa. They need to be prepared for all the teams in their division. That's exactly right. And I'm, for Friends, if you're a Friends fan, by the way, you hope it doesn't happen to you. But even with a win for Evangel or a win against Evangel, I'm telling you, I still think Bethany's going to trip somebody up this year in the Kessinger division. Okay, so it's out there, it's on record. All right, Dale, thank you, sir. Thank you for watching. Elisa, thank you for watching Big Tough Falcons. Okay, that's fine. I thought it was big time. I'm sorry. That's all right. Coach Harrison will correct me on that, and that's okay. I can handle correction, and I appreciate it from you. Dave, just catching up. Hey, Dave, you almost missed it. We're about to sign off. My goodness, man. You got to get here a little more sooner on this Sunday night, more quickly. No, I'm glad you're here. Overall, really appreciate you showing up. Dale, Dave, Elisa, thank you to everyone for watching tonight, being in the chat. As always, it is my privilege to get to visit with you. And that means more to me now than it did 3 months ago. I say it with a humble heart. It is my privilege to get to visit with you, and I'm very thankful that you have taken the time on a Sunday evening, all the time that you give to watch this channel. Please subscribe to the channel. Join as a member if you'd like to. Turn on those notifications. I don't want to give you too much to do. I don't want to put too much on your plate, but we appreciate that. We're climbing up that sub mark, and I think sometimes those numbers just help. I don't know if it lends credibility or not. I don't know. Tell a friend. This week, 2 coaches for sure. 2 coaches for sure. I'm not going to say exactly what day. In theory, they're supposed to both be tomorrow. I'm not going to the ER tomorrow. So there we go. Just throwing that out there. Appreciate all your prayers, by the way, over the course of this summer. It's been good. So 2 coaches for sure. And then we have Thursday night's week 9 preview, Sunday's week 9 top 5 performance. And I know there's a lot to talk about. And who knows, we may even get someone else along the way. By the way, we had a Midwest Sports Saturday this weekend, live show on Saturday, and we're pushing to make it November 2nd for the next one. Okay, here we go. We'll segue out with this. Dave, oldest son and his bride-to-be came over for supper. You got to take care of that. You absolutely have to take care of that, which means I will tell you Saturday, I will be keeping up with all the football, but I'll be doing it from a band competition because the senior twins will be in marching competition somewhere up near Oklahoma City, and Mrs. Midwest Sportsnet and I will be there at that. But trust me, I have this and a lot more to keep going and to keep up with everything's happening, because I know we have a lot of big games on the way. That's my segue out of here. I really do appreciate all of you. Thanks for watching. If you watched all night long, you're way up here in my book. And if you've stayed here all the way through the replay, my goodness, you're a trooper. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, join as a member, and God bless you. Have a great, great night. We'll see you very soon.